kind of do a quick recap of everything that has happened in this Filecoin 101 track for those that came late. So earlier today, Molly gave a great overview. In fact, I think it's one of the best overviews I've seen, all the different players in the Filecoin ecosystem. And there are so many amazing groups building on Filecoin. Highly recommend you go back and watch that talk if you just want a good map of the ecosystem. But also certain facts that you may not know about Filecoin. Filecoin is actually one of the largest, if not the largest ZK Stark deployment out there. And in fact, we also have new products like Station, which you can do local retrieval on your personal device. And that has reached 1.3 nodes in just the last 2 to 3 months. And so there's so many incredible innovations, and definitely check out Molly's talk if you want to hear more. We also had Nandit, and Nandit is the founder of Lighthouse. He had an incredible story entering the Filecoin ecosystem 3 years ago. He was a developer and learned about Filecoin, then worked at a company that was building on Filecoin, Fleek, and then went from there to join actually a Filecoin accelerator in Singapore. And now he's running Lighthouse. He's raised money, and he's one of the amazing players that are thinking about innovations on Filecoin virtual machine and also how to do on-chain storage. And so there's a ton of really great companies that are thinking about how to take a lot of the new technical capabilities we're seeing year by year on Filecoin and taking it to the next level. From there, Porter gave an overview about the Filecoin storage provider community. Today, we have over 3,300 storage providers all around the world in all geographic regions that are doing incredible storage and use cases. And one of the big focus areas we have for this year is really bringing on paid and enterprise deals, because we need that funnel to bring all the other Web2 users onto decentralized storage. And so definitely check out Porter's talk as well. Claudia then really talked about how to think about the next generation of compute and next generation storage, and really going up against existing Web2 storage providers out there like AWS or Google. Then Pooja talked about smart contract wallets. And this is definitely a pain point for the on and off ramps. I know that on the plane right here today, I couldn't even access my ETH Denver ticket because I had challenges with linking 3 wallets and not knowing which one was actually linked to my ticket. So very real use cases on making sure that we can really get the basics of wallets usable by everyone, and making sure that that can be a cross-chain experience. So with the remaining time, I did want to cover a little bit about what we do at the Filecoin Foundation. Some of you guys might be already familiar, so this might be a boring talk, but for those that are new or just curious, the Filecoin Foundation, its mission is to really be the long-term steward of the Filecoin network and really look at long-term governance. And so we've invested in a ton of grants to help developers. We make sure that storage providers, we're hearing from the community, and we can also help the community innovate. We also make sure that we can run programs like Filecoin Plus to really keep the incentives of this storage market working as it should. And so I'm just going to do a quick deep dive on all the different audiences. Storage providers talked about earlier, different geographic regions. And we have been really working this past year to really make sure that storage providers can get together in places like Phil Vegas, which was the largest storage provider community gathering we hosted last year, and really bringing on traditional investors as well as large enterprises to really think about Filecoin, as well as getting SPs to visibility in front of investors. We also hosted a number of other events like the Decentralized Storage Alliance, which is an organization we helped fund and co-launch around a year and a half ago. And that is really focused on bringing traditional enterprises to the cloud. During Phil Vegas, we had incredible organizations like Intel be interested in joining. So that's just a couple more there, but definitely check out Porter's talk for more. Developers is another big category that we support from the Filecoin Foundation. We have everything from grants that we give out to developers, small to large, to really get them excited about the Filecoin ecosystem. We have our dev advocates really supporting hackathons all around the world, working with other members of the ecosystem. We also really want to share the impact of our developer advocates through the Filecoin Orbit program. So Filecoin Orbit is a program that we launched a couple years ago to really get volunteers passionate about Filecoin the capital to host great community events. And so this has really led to all kinds of events take place. In fact, this week at ETH Denver, we have a Filecoin Orbit showcase that's organized by some volunteers from Austin. And so this is just the start of a lot of amazing things we can do, but we can't do it alone. We need a ton of volunteers and community members to come with us. This is an example of also the work of Orbit. We did a listening tour, just making sure that in places like China, where we may not have as much presence from the main Filecoin ecosystem teams, we can listen and hear their concerns, as well as support some of the areas that they're thinking of in terms of really moving to paid deals. We are also exploring making sure that beyond core devs, we are also listening to other devs in the ecosystem and that they can find the resources they need to build on our ecosystem. I know that we have so many resources out there. They're often not easy to find. And so things like this working group is something that we're hoping can help bridge a lot of those questions we get at places like this. We also have a ton happening on the network operations front. On the front of governance, just last fall, we reformed our 5th process hearing feedback from the community. And we have stewarded 6 FIPS as part of the Network 21 Watermelon upgrade. Filecoin Plus, many of you guys heard about this earlier from Molly, and there's been a session upstairs about Filecoin Plus, but this is really the incentive mechanism to make sure that we can get credible data stored on the Filecoin network. And so we have had so many different verified network deals take place, surpassing 1.8 exabytes, and a huge daily onboarding rate. And then finally, one thing that we try to do that all members of the Filecoin community can participate in is really bring together people in events. So actually just 2 days ago, we hosted a social impact summit, which brought together a ton of our project partners on the social impact side, from MIT Open Learning to Internet Archive, to really showcase what's happening in terms of storing a lot of data in the public good space onto the Filecoin network. And it was incredible. I think Internet Archive announced 1 petabyte of storage now on the network, and even more coming. So it was an amazing place to help nonprofits that may not be that Web3 native get the tools and resources to make sure that they can store humanity's most important information. We had Phil Vegas, which we talked about earlier. Phil Bangalore was last December. This is actually fully community run by one of our community partners out there, Huddle 01, and it had over 1,000 developers show up. And so that's just the power of decentralized events. And today we have 150 Orbit ambassadors. And so this is something that if you guys are interested in really bringing the Filecoin ethos and message to your community, you can also sign up to be a community member. This is just a quick roadmap of what is to come with Filecoin later this year. Here we are at ETH Denver. We will be at Phil Hong Kong later this year in early April during the Web3 Festival, really reaching our APAC storage providers and also our different developers there. We'll also be at Token 2049. Funding the Commons is taking place in San Francisco, also in mid-April. There will be a large Filecoin presence at Consensus, and then we'll be at Phil Brussels, which is during ETHCC. Then there is DWeb Camp, which really brings a lot of the organic decentralized web community together. Then Phil Seoul, Phil Singapore, Phil Bangkok. You can see it goes on. And we hope that you can also contribute to this timeline, because there's a lot more community events that we can add if you guys are interested in organizing. So how do you stay abreast of what's happening on the foundation side? We actually just published 2 days ago our annual report. So you can actually see all the grants we've given out to date, what kind of things we fund. All of that is in there. If you're interested in being interviewed, we have DWeb Decoded, which is a podcast we host. We would love to deep dive with all of you guys on fascinating topics that you're interested in. If you are building on the Filecoin network, we actually just launched a few months ago the Filecoin Ecosystem Explorer, which showcases all the different groups building on Filecoin. So if you're not on there, please make sure that you get added. And then we also have a ton of newsletters just to stay afloat of what's happening. So we have Fresh from FF, which is every 2 weeks you'll get a newsletter in your inbox just showing different updates across the Filecoin ecosystem. We also have the Upload, which is much more of a public-facing newsletter for folks that might be interested in entering the Filecoin to know how to get started. So thank you so much. I'll be around if you guys have questions. Thank you for coming to this track.